Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katie. I'm the introverted reader. Well, I'm more like the lazy reader because I'm a lazy slug today. I mean, I got up and showered, but I'm just sitting here with my hoodie and my fluffy hairband. So get yourself on something cozy because even though it's spring, we can still be cozy. I'm going to wrap up the month of March, finally. I hope you all had a good Easter weekend. Again, today is my day off, so I'm literally just being lazy sod today. But before we get started, even though we're being lazy, we can't be lazy when it comes to hydrating. Okay. Take a drink of water if you have not already. So, yes, I'm just being lazy. Like I said, like 3 times. So, which means hoodie, no makeup, fluffy hoodie. So anyway, I'm going to talk to you guys all about these books. Now, I will admit, I did a lot of reading in March. Like, we read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books, because I read one on my Kindle, which obviously I don't have a physical copy of, but my Kindle is over there. I forgot to lift it over, but whatever. And I will admit, after reading all of that, the burnout at the end of March was real. Because I got my TBR finished early. I had like a week left of March, and even though I was really happy about that, I was like, yeah, like I've officially finished, like I can do whatever I want now. And I kind of had to force myself to like take a break and be all like, no, we've got an audiobook left to do, but honestly, I'm feeling kind of just blah. So let's just relax for a bit. Okay. So, first book that I read, Northern Lights by Philip Pullman. This is the first book in his Dark Materials series. This was the Introverted Reader book club pick for the month of March. So I have a review on it. If you want to go and watch that, it's on my channel. I look a lot better in that video than I do today, but whatever. But yeah, go and watch that video if you want my full feelings, thoughts, and opinions on this. But overall, I thought it was really fun. I thought it was magical and whimsical. And yeah, all the things. So go watch my review. The next book that I read was another middle grade, and it was The Strange World Travel Agency by L.D. Lipinski. I finally got around to reading this, because this was actually because Kaz sent me this ages ago for Christmas, and I finally got around to reading it. So we're following our main character, Flick. Her full name is Felicity, and her mom, her dad, and her wee brother have recently moved house. They used to live in a flat in the city, and now they've moved to a wee small village in the country in like a bigger house, essentially. And her parents are all thrilled about it. They're all like, yes, we finally have more space, we're moving for like a better job and, whatever. But Flick isn't all that happy about the move. She loved living in their little flat. And, she hasn't fully adjusted to living in this wee small village. She's used to the big city, but and I thought it was really interesting in the beginning as well, because Flick's parents work a lot, and there was a lot of talk about like how like her mom and dad would be working late, and she would be the one having to look after her wee brother, like put him to bed and stuff. And I was like, oh, like I really felt for her. And then one day she's out for a walk, and she comes across this really mysterious looking shop with all these suitcases inside, and it's Strange World's Travel Agency. And she goes in and she's looking around, and, she's like, this is a bit weird. And then the man who runs it, Jonathan, comes out, and, they get to talking and whatever. And he explains to her that this is like a magical hub, if you will. And all the suitcases lead to different worlds. She's all like, and he realizes that she is special because she looks through this magnifying glass and she can see like magic floating around, whereas nobody else really can. So he sort of brings her in to be a part of the travel agency. And listen, this was really cute. This was really fun. I believe it's part of a series, but if I'm being honest, I don't think I'll continue. Like I was a bit underwhelmed by this, if I'm being completely real with you. I thought it was a bit underdeveloped in some parts. I mean, I gave it like a lowish 4 stars, maybe like a 3.5, but listen, it's really fun. And maybe if I was a kid, I would have enjoyed it a bit more, but I'm 32 years old. But I mean, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. That's a me problem. But I think I just it was cute. It was fine. I don't feel compelled to continue on with the series if it is one. I'm not sure, but I'm content to leave this as a standalone and move on with my life. But it was cute. It was fun. And then I decided I need something a bit more grown up because I've read 2 middle grades back to back. So I read Heaven's Official Blessing, Volume 3. And you guys know I have been making my way through this series, but I've been reading it on my Kindle, which honestly, best idea I've ever had. I find it so much easier to read this and get the information in rather than reading these like physical books. Like these physical books are gorgeous, don't get me wrong. And I do plan on collecting them all because I have them all apart from volume 7 and I need to get it. But yeah, I love this. This was definitely my favorite of the volumes that I've read thus far. And it's kind of difficult for me to give you guys a synopsis for this because I feel like go look up on Goodreads what it's about because I think they can explain it better than I can. But basically, he is a god that gets banished to the mortal realm several times, and he's kind of the laughing stock of the heavens. But he just wants to do good in the world. He just wants to help, and he comes across this guy with the eye patch, and they get close. Oh, they get close. And yes, this very scene on the cover actually happened, and I was like, oh! So I'm loving this. This is my favorite volume of the ones I've read thus far. Good, solid, high 4 stars. And then I read Show Us Who You Are by Elle McNichol. This was the one book by her that I hadn't read yet. I know she's coming out with, I think it's Kitty, which is a sequel to, no, not a sequel, a prequel to A Kind of Spark. And is she coming out with a young adult book soon? Is that what Some Like It's Cold is? Is Some Like It's Cold? Is Some Like It Cold a YA book? Correct me if I'm wrong. But yes, this one here. This is a middle grade, and we are following our main character, Cora. And at the beginning of the book, her brother and her dad and herself are going to a party at this man's house who her brother works for. Her brother's like a lot older than her. He's like 26. And they're going to this person's house who her brother works for. Her brother works at a place called the Pomegranate Institute, where they basically make holographic versions of people, like dead or alive. Like if one of your relatives passed away, you could upload their consciousness into like things system, and they could make a holographic projection of that person, and you would never have to like say goodbye to them ever again, which frankly freaks me the F out. Like, I love my granny and I miss her terribly, but frankly, I would not, a computer projection of a person. No. Absolutely not. But yeah, anyway, so, and at this party, Cora meets a young boy called Adrian, who is the CEO's son. And they become really close friends. They become like best friends, and they're both neurodivergent. She is autistic and he is ADHD. And obviously that doesn't make a whole person. I know that. They don't just bond over that. They bond over a whole bunch of stuff. And, you know, they talk to each other and they laugh and joke. And it's such a beautiful story about like, it's this beautiful story about friendship. It's a beautiful story about acceptance. And it's just a beautiful story about just, you don't have to be perfect to fit in. You just need to be you. And I think that is, if little 10-year-old me had this book when I was growing up, I swear to goodness. But yeah, I thought this was wonderful. I gave it 5 stars. And yes, chapter 13 of this book got me in my feelings. Got me good, gal. Anyway. And the audiobook that I was listening to alongside of that was The Adventures of Amina Ali by Shannon Chakraborty. And when I tell you, this was amazing. Like, Shannon Chakraborty is an autobiography author now for me. She wrote the Daevabad trilogy, and you know how I feel about the Daevabad trilogy, okay? It's amazing, it's wonderful, it's fantastic. So yeah, I listened to this via audio. It was great. It's basically about our main character, Amina Al-Sarafi, and she used to be a very infamous pirate, you know, sailing over the seas, doing her thing, you know, pillaging and whatever. But she's done with that now. She's done with that. She has a 10-year-old daughter. She has her elderly mother to look after, and their house roof is leaking, and she's just like, I just want to care for my daughter, look after my mom, and just live quiet life for the rest of my days. But then this old woman shows up at her house and says, my granddaughter has been kidnapped and I need you to find her. And at first Amina's like, listen, I'm not scouring the globe looking for some teenager simply because, like, she just ran away. But then the old woman is like, no, she was kidnapped, and if you find her for me, I will give you like a life-changing amount of money. And she offers her like millions to find her granddaughter. And Amina's like, well, that is awful tempting, because if I had that amount of money, like if I had millions, like me and my daughter and my mom and my family would be set for life, you know? So she's like, that's a life-changing amount of money. Do I want to go back out there again? Should I? But then she does, and it's so good. It's so good. I loved Amina as a narrator. She was so witty and funny. The members of her crew were hilarious. Like, I love them so much. Just a bunch of these like grown-ups. Like, they're all older, you know, they're all like, I don't mean like elderly or anything like that, you know, just like they're all like fully grown adults scouring the sea, and like she's the banter between them was everything. It was so good. But then as well, it's also this beautiful story about just this woman who has lived this extraordinary life and did so much. And then at the end of it all, she's like, you know what? I've done all of that, and I am just content to settle down now and just be a mother and, you know, do my thing. And I loved it. I loved it so much. Oh, look at this cover. Get into this cover. This is the Waterstones edition, by the way. But yeah, if you haven't picked this up yet, what are you doing? Like, if you like stories about lady pirates, get into it. It's literally, I remember I was thinking about it, and I was like, it's kind of, it gives me Our Flag Means Death, but if the main character was a woman and not gay. I mean, there's a little bit of gay in there, a little bit. But still, it's beautiful. I love Shannon Chakraborty, author for me. And then I read Heaven's Official Blessing, Volume 4, which I genuinely did not plan on doing, because I read Volume 3, and I was like, right, I'll just focus on other things. I've got other books to read, whatever. I'll not look at this until April. Lies I told, because I ended up reading this, and honestly, it's a lot shorter than the other volumes that I've read of this, and yes, this happened. I was screaming. But again, I've mentioned this before. There is something about this author's writing style that bothers me, because a lot of times there's a lot of characters in here. Which I'm not unfamiliar with. I've read, obviously, Grandmaster has a lot of characters in there, and there's and you know, I've watched a lot of sea dramas that have a whole lot of characters that's kind of difficult to keep up with after a while, but that's not the issue. The issue is she introduces these new characters and then literally gives you their entire, like, this is the like this general person shows up, you know, and she goes on to talk about like, oh, he was a military person back in the day and he did it. She literally gives you this person's entire backstory. And it's just so, it's a lot of information to get dumped on, and it takes me out of the story so often. And like, I would be like into it. I would be like, okay, this is going good. Like, I'm getting it now. And then another character will be introduced, and then more, just all this information just dumped on you about who this person is and what they're doing and what they've done and all this and why they're here and all the resentment, and then they died and became a ghost and blah blah. And it's like, I don't care. What does this have to do with anything? And I've been told that, like, oh yes, I mean, all the pieces come together eventually, but I'm like, there's too many pieces. There's too many pieces and I need it to stop. I just care about these two. Can we just focus on these two for now, please? I need these two to get together and do more of this. Okay? Call me a thirsty hoe, but that is how I'm feeling. But anyway, good. Thus far, I've given pretty much all the volumes 4 stars, and I gave that one 4. But if I'm being honest, it's more like a 3. It's more like a 3. And then, wow, that is a lot of reading that I did. And yeah, like I said, I completely, like, pretty much completed my TBR. But then I was looking around on my Kindle again after I finished volume 4. And I was like, I want something cute. I want something fun. I want a romance. Like, I was just like, I'm in the mood for a cute, fluffy romance. Like, give me something. And then I found a book called If This Is Ever After by F.T. Lukens. Now, I'd read a book by this author before. I'm just using they as, like, general. I'm unsure of the person's pronouns. But anyway, I had read In Deeper Waters by this author before. And I mean, that was a book that, like, the concept sounded amazing, but the execution of it wasn't great. But then I read If This Is Ever After by this author, and it was 5 stars. Just off the bat right now. 5 stars. I give it 5 stars. Because it's a fantasy story, and we follow our main character, Eric. It's not like Eric spelt with an E. It's spelt with A-R-E-K. I'm assuming it's pronounced like Eric, but anyway. And he is, like, the chosen one of the story, right? And it opens up with him and his friends storming the castle and defeating the bad guy. And then, okay, adventure's done. Bad guy's been defeated. Now what? And it's like, how are we gonna, like, put this kingdom back together? And they're all looking at him like, oh, you're the king now. You defeated the bad guy. You're the king now. And he's like, no, I'm not. I'm a 17-year-old boy who grew up on a farm. I can't run a kingdom. And then they go to find the princess, who's locked in a tower, because of course she is. And then she's dust and bones. So, like, well, she can't run the kingdom. But, you know, they're all like, Eric, you have the sword that killed the bad guy. You can rule. And then he puts the crown on, reluctantly, but then it gets magically linked to the throne. And as well, come to find that not only can he not get out of it, but he needs to find his one true love by the time he turns 18, or he will fade from existence. And I was eating it up. I was like, and it kind of was giving me Lightning Struck Heart by TJ Klune, but like a family-friendly version of that. And I was living it. It's a sweet, beautiful story, and also it is queer as well, because our main character is in love with his best friend Will, and he's hoping that his best friend will be like his one true love, but he's unsure about how his friend feels. But it's so obvious, it is so obvious that the two of them are like, it is so obvious that the two of them are like head over heels for each other, and it drove me crazy, but in a good way. Anyway, so I read that, and then I was listening to the audiobook for Dark Rise. So like I said, I had like a week left of March, but I took a break from physically reading after reading that last book and just listened to this. So this is a reread for me. Okay, just look at this cover. Isn't it beautiful? So this is actually a reread for me. I read it ages ago, but then the sequel has since come out. So I was like, right, I don't remember a thing from this book, so I need to reread it. So I did. And we're following our main character, Will, who has been on the run ever since his mom was killed by these mysterious men who are now after him. He doesn't know why, you know, he's just like, all he knows is that these men killed his mom, and now they want him dead as well. And then he soon comes across this group of people called the Stewards, who are like humanity's sort of like last stand against the darkness. So it's kind of like a light versus dark situation. And like the Stewards bring him in and they tell them all their history. And it's kind of like a race against time type of story, where it's just like, we must defeat the darkness because the people that killed his mom are trying to like resurrect this old dead king, and who, if he gets resurrected, the world will end naturally. So yeah, this was a whole ton of fun. I give 4.5 stars on Goodreads, and I'm really, really excited to carry on with the sequel, which is over there. It's on my April TBR. So yeah, that is it for the month of March. I did so much reading. Look at all of this. None of these are in order anymore, but who cares? Look at this. Look at all the reading that I did. Oh, look at all the reading that I did, and as well the book that I'd read exclusively on my Kindle. So yeah, I'm so glad to finally get all these wrapped up, because I've had them sitting there on my desk waiting to like talk to you guys about, like, anyway. So that was it for March. How did you guys do in March? Did you do well? How many books did you read? Did you discover any new favorites? Let me know. Have you read any of these? Do you feel the same way I do? Let me know. And again, I will see you guys in my next video, which will be at the weekend. I might just look like this again, but sure, doesn't matter. We're all friends here. We're all friends here, right? Anyway, I'll see you in my next video. Socials, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok down below. Subscribe, and I will see you at the weekend. Bye.